Welcome in, Grizzly fans. It's edition number 2 of Coach's Corner. It took us 7 years to get these individuals back in a room together as we celebrate 1,000 victories for GGC Athletics in this campus. And we're joined now by all 5 head coaches, which I think is our first victory into the next 1,000. The fact that I got all 5 of you in a room together. So as you introduce yourself, we go around the room here. I want to know what you would be doing right now if we weren't having this interview. Would it be recruiting, staff meetings, field maintenance? Let's go right. We'll start with you.
Brad Stromdahl, baseball coach, and what I would be doing right now is I'd be on a national selection committee call.
And what does that entail?
Oh, well, it's part of how we select the at-large teams for the postseason at the end. So we have about 6 phone calls throughout the course of the year, and we get to get on some phone calls with about 25 other people and talk a lot about what's going on in our sport and how it's working out. And then at the end of the year, we decide who gets in and who's out.
Kat Eilenberg, softball. I would be working with Tanya Metters to plan Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's practices. Get ready for a big weekend.
Chase Hodges, tennis. I'm a NAIA tennis rater, so similar to Brad, and our national rankings are due in a couple hours, so I better get on that.
I would be editing. Matt Mahoney, go ahead.
Yeah. Steve DeCoux, men's soccer. It's 11:30. We've already had weights and practice, so I would be in the gym working out right now.
Overachiever here.
Mike Giuliano, women's soccer. I'd be recruiting as we try to replace 15 seniors who are graduating after this year.
And so I can't thank you guys enough for being here because of more so to those people out there that allowed them to be here, friends and family, their teams, their staffs, and their administrators too as well. And so we are located back in the same room that you guys filmed this same interview 7 years ago. I sent you guys some pictures earlier. When you looked at those pictures and reminisced back, what's the first thing that come to your mind?
Kat?
I was getting a lot more sleep. I didn't have 2 kids, and I had a lot less gray hair.
Yeah, I would just say it feels like about 2 decades ago, but 7 years is it's flown by. It seems like it was a long time ago, but when you think about everything that we've done as a department, it's kind of flown by. So a little bit of both.
I think we all look like a bunch of kids. I mean, it's been a great 7 years, but there's been some struggles and some trials along the way.
Coach Giuliano, for you, 7 years ago, you and I both weren't here. So we're new to this conversation.
Exactly.
You and I,
7 years ago, I was in Chicago freezing to death, so I'm thrilled to be here.
And so whether it was 7 years ago or 2 years ago, take me back to your first win as the head coach of your particular GGC program.
Well, Steve got the first win overall here, so what was your day?
Technically, I got the second win.
True, I knew
but
that was coming.
no, it was that was a whirlwind. Started in January of 12, and the end of August of 12, we beat Tennessee Temple 12-0. Just to see how everything progressed from nothing to playing out on the old intramural field with over about 1,000 fans. The pomp and circumstance of that first game. I mean, I've still got the coin from the official coin toss from that day. But yeah, no, it was just as the game progressed, it was. Well, we're not going to be that bad. We're not going to be a first-year program. So looking back on some of those guys, who've gone on to be great Grizzlies for us, it was, like has been said, it felt like 2 decades ago.
Yeah, ours was spring of 2013. I remember we beat SCAD at home. That was a men and women's match. We had General the Grizzly out there. They did the national anthem. It was a big crowd out there. I do remember that match, and just all the excitement around playing our first home match and first match in our tennis program's history, and just to think about that and how far we've come is hard to believe.
We were up the street at Collinsville High School watching the field be laser graded, but nowhere near what the Grizzly softball complex is now, playing Faulkner, and we split the day. We lost the first game in a tight contest, and it was heartbreaking because you just want to come out and capitalize on what everybody else has done, that everyone else had come out first game and they won. And it was like, oh man, how's this going to go? And we really battled in the second game, and a player who to this day I still keep in a lot of touch with got the big hit that put us up, and winning that game was definitely, we knew we were going to do some things, and it was a unique group of girls, so it was a lot of fun that day.
Yeah, we were the same way. We went to Voorhees over in South Carolina, and it was just a great day, great experience. The bus broke down, like all of the things that you're trying to get everything going. The first ever recorded at bat was a walk, and then he stole second, and then it was the runner or the shortstop told him it was a foul ball, and so our runner went back to first base. So it was a walk, and then a stolen base, and then a non-stolen base. So, but we won, and it was a really, really great year, and just great memories.
As you look back and think about those pictures that was this first coach's corner that we had 7 years ago, what advice do you have as a seventh year of the program to the first year of the program? If you go back and tell that coach, that person, that individual, what would you tell that person?
For me, to just be patient. You can't, things aren't going to get done immediately. As I've gotten older, I feel like I've gotten more and more patient. I feel like as a younger coach, expected things done like just right then and there. And here, everything does get done, which is a positive. But just be patient and let the process work its way out.
Stole my thunder because what made this so unique was it wasn't that we were just starting a new sport in an already existing athletic department. It's everything was new. Everything was uncharted territory. And so the term that we've always thrown around with each other is the goalposts were always moving, from admissions requirements to just programs, procedures, policies, plans in place. No 2 days are ever alike here. And that's been the thing, is just be patient, because in 6 months it's probably going to change. But everybody's got the best intention, and so just relax, old man. That's what I've had to keep telling myself.
Coach Juliana, for you insert into this staff in the athletic department your first 2 weeks on the job here 2 years ago. What did you learn from these other four pretty quickly?
Well, I learned they have some goofy personalities at times, but I also learned that I would fit right in, and it would be a good relationship and friendship. I learned pretty quickly from them that you can win here, and you have the resources. You always would like more of this or that, but you can win here, and it was exciting to see their enthusiasm, because they'd been here for a number of years. Then we start out 2 years ago, we lose our first three. I'm thinking they're thinking, uh-oh, we made the wrong choice here, but turned it around and went pretty well that first year. So
what the people on the other side of the screen may not realize is the camaraderie that the five of you all have. How often are you in each other's office, picking each other's brains, hanging out, talking about life?
Every day. Every day. I mean, you walk in past each other's offices. Chase, poor guy down the street at Collinsville High School, we have to make an effort to go see him, but he comes by when we have staff meetings and sits in, and we discuss, I'll call them the issues of the day, but it's the progress of what we're trying to accomplish. I'm fortunate to have an awesome colleague in baseball who we do have similar personalities, but coaching styles are different. So when we throw ideas at each other, it's, yeah, you're right, I should actually worry less or play more and just have a not a goofy attitude, but I always tell them, I just go with it.
All right, you can't answer for yourself. The other four are going to answer for you. When Coach Stromdahl is in your office, what does he worry or complain about the most?
The grass.
His field.
The grass.
He's always coming looking into my office in his grass.
It's true.
Yeah, he comes in
How
my
about you,
office
Chase?
to look at my grass, to tell me what to do with my grass or my dirt.
Because we have to have it looks pretty. It's took us a long time to get the grass like that, and we're going to keep it like that.
And it certainly does. It shows.
Absolutely. It's
What about Coach Cat? When you're in her office or vice versa, what is she talking about?
She's talking
team
about
culture. We love talking team culture, and I think we're in a transition phase with college age students. I think there's some things that are changing rather fast as the technologies that influence their lives change, and so we're talking all the time about team culture and trying to figure out a way to do it better.
Biscuits.
Tea and biscuits, right?
Biscuits. Can my British guys bring biscuits in for her
Yes.
cup of tea for her?
I need
yeah.
tea.
And we're always talking about Disney, some way,
true.
shape, or form.
It happens. It's magical, and this program is magical. It correlates very nicely.
I'll say community service with Kat. Her program does an amazing job.
Yeah.
We've got some projects that our tennis program's doing, and just from speaking with Kat, obviously I think she's like an expert in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brad, I've known Brad since when we were at Georgia State together. So we never talk really athletics. It's just friendship talk or just random things.
Because Lord knows your office is located about a mile down the road from us. He's won 9 national championships, and nobody ever wants to talk to him about anything. Chase doesn't have any insight whatsoever to winning, right?
You'd have to ask them. I mean, that's up to them. But
He's got a great office. Like you sit in there and you just kind of stretch out your feet, you lay on the couch, or you sit on the other couch, or kind of like just hang out. It's a great time. It's got a great office.
Is it a therapy session? Like your Dr. Phil, they're coming to you
exactly
to Chase. How do I get to where you're at?
I don't think it's therapy.
Okay.
But it is a relaxing. It's relaxing over there because and I've talked to all the coaches about it. I mean, part of you, obviously, it's a part of the campus, but then there's also it being off campus. You kind of have that feel of a tennis club type mentality. So it's kind of nice.
Decu's up next. What does Decu talk about?
He's always talking about Europe and the players that are coming in from Europe
Yes.
and South America.
He lets me know how far he goes to recruit. I go to Collins Hill High School. I can still ride my bike to go recruit some of the best athletes. And he tells me about his bike rides along the rivers in Amsterdam or the Seine in Paris, and making sure that he's having tea with people in England that I'm jealous of. So he's recruiting hardcore all over the world.
I just get real joy when he walks in my office. I sense joy in him because he was the oldest coach, and now he's not. And I think that makes him really happy that he's no longer the oldest coach in the department.
Well, your guys' relationship goes back a number of years, even before GGC. I know I joke with you guys about the Tennessee Temple connection, but in all honesty, for two head soccer coaches to have such a camaraderie, it's a rarity, but how well does that affect your individual program that you have somebody a voice that you can lean on that you appreciate?
Well, I would say I've been in a number of different schools, and many times there's animosity between the men's program and the women's program, and it's I can't say enough about knowing that I have a friend and a colleague that I trust and respect, in the other office, and we get along and we share the pitch, and we give and take when it comes to training times and things like that. So it just makes for such a healthy relationship with the two teams.
And lastly, Dr. Coach on the end, what does his PhD and his conversation bring to the table?
Well, with his older age and stature, he's got that little stand-up computer thing, which is we always have conversations about that and sitting on the medicine ball. We have a good time. A lot of time I go look at her grass outside his window.
Yes.
There's
making
grass
sure it's
again.
going
He
good.
stands in my office and stares. I don't know what's going on, but he just does it all the time.
But we always look at his national championship titles up on top, and he's always make sure that there's just hit the sun reflected right into your eyes.
I've planned
out
the
his
sun, so
window.
that works out
Exactly.
I'd say international admissions. Both of our programs rely heavy on international players. So I think when Coach came in, just trying to understand the ins and outs of that, and making sure that the policies and procedures are followed. And I'd say as you see the women's soccer program grow with time, I think you're going to see a national championship. Not to put pressure on them, but it'll be coming.
Is Chase the only one that can put national championship pressure to another coach that has won a national championship? 4 of them to be exact.
Well, I think this is the first department I've been a part of where every one of us, that's sort of an annual goal. And I know you say, well, every team says that. No, most teams in the country know that there's no way this season ends with a ring. But I think I'm in a program, in a department where every one of us think that that's a real possibility just about every year.
What does it mean for this group here and the camaraderie that you have, and it's a place of employment, but it's so much more than that? When's the last time you guys did some reflecting and went, wow, I'm here at Georgia Gwinnett building this program to either what is more national championship or the national championship level? How often do you get the chance to just have a cup of tea or mow the grass or be on a plane and pinch yourself at how good life is right now? Or maybe is life as good as it appears on the outside?
I told Mike this in our interview process, that it looks good on the outside, but it's 100 times better on the inside. You talk to colleagues when you go to coaches' conventions or when you travel, and they'll tell you some of their woes, and I can't respond without feeling like I'm coming across maybe bragging that I don't. We deal with issues. I mean, we're an athletic department. We deal with young adults. We deal with people who have diverse personalities. But I have not had a day where I come to work and I go, this is it. If this happens, I'm out. I mean, I look forward to the challenges because of my guys that I get to work with. I'm very fortunate, and they let me be me, And I think that is something that's rare these days, is there's no expectation from Brad, Chase, Steve, or Mike that, Kat, you should really do it this way because that's the better way. They really embrace that you absolutely are unique. I love being in the community and I love taking my team to do special things, but I feel that I've reflected that back into their programs and I can see things they want to do too, but I'm certainly taking from all their programs all the time.
I'm talking about reflecting. Yesterday I was at a college ID camp, and so you get up, kind of give your spiel about your university. And we've done in 7 years with some of these departments, it's taken a lifetime to do. And the number of athletic departments I've worked at, there's no petty animosity or jealousy with the group. I mean, we all banter back and forth with the best of them, but everybody is truthfully, they like each other, they're rooting for each other. Yeah, some of us are, weirder than others. We've all got our quirks, but we're all going to try to win a national championship, which, like Mike said, most places can't dream of that. It's going to happen. I mean, the challenge for the four of us here is to put a championship up there with Olive Chase's on the wall. That's the goal going forward. But this place is I don't want to quit. I don't want to leave this place because who's got it better than us?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's something that's very special, and it's driven by Dr. Wilson, and I think that his administration and our administrators, and they could all be sitting around this table, and we could all be feeling the same way, from our compliance to our business administration, all the way through and through. And so it makes it a pleasure to wake up and come to work, and I think that from the outside, like Kat said, it's just as good on the inside for sure. Especially with the Grizzly Digital Network, and you keep increasing it. I mean, but that's it. I mean, everybody does their part, and it continues to. We challenge the norms that are set out there, and we continue to grow. And if it doesn't work, we just try something else, and we just want to try to be and have the best product on the field and off the field.
You used a phrase there that I want to elaborate on: challenge the norm. How often do we have challenges at GGC where you try to reach out to other colleagues or administrators or coaches or friends and realize they don't have the same challenges that we do? Do you catch a reward in challenging that norm that Coach referenced there?
I think so. I mean, for us, I feel like, any challenge that we have, we can talk amongst each other and solve that problem. I don't really go outside GGC. I'm ultra competitive, so I don't want to have to ask.
You're not going to tell me the secrens today, is what you're saying.
I mean, I like to keep it in-house, so it's one of those situations. And to echo Brad's statement, when you start a program, there's, I've been at a lot of different universities, and the affinity that I have for GGC is just simply greater, simply from the aspect that, we started, with the exception of Mike, who's doing a phenomenal job, but we've started these programs from zero. So for me, when I go to work every day, I think back to July 1st, 2012, when I was sitting in my office with no tennis balls, no uniforms, no tennis players. And I had to put a program together by February to compete. So that's how I reflect. I just reflect from an aspect of where I was when we started, where we are now. And nobody else can say they've experienced that,
Well, and Kat's right. It's tough to, in all due respect to our NAI colleagues, for example, it's tough to call them and share our issues and problems, because our issues and problems or challenges are just different. We just have it better in a lot of ways. I mean, I feel like I'm more back in my San Diego State days, but actually with the entire group of people who like each other and respect each other, and that's so. This is where I get most of my input from, is right here. I mean, not that there's not people outside that can help, but it's most where it comes from.
We may see more of the quirky personalities coming out here, but I want to go around the room again. What's been your favorite, you get to pick one, favorite part of building this program? Whether it be from day one or hitting the reset button with women's soccer, is it cutting the grass or designing uniforms?
That came
what's
to her
been your,
mind.
what's been your, all right, Kat, lead us off here. What's been your
there.
favorite part about building the program?
It's only going to get eye rolls from the guys, but they'll understand what it is when I give the full story. Last year we made the World Series. So, it was a 5-year goal. There we are, year 6. We win the opening round. We get to the World Series. You win the national championship. Chase can tell me, Mike can tell me. You take them somewhere special. I said, no, our World Series is in Orlando. I'm taking my team to Disney World. And it is part of me. I mean, I enjoy that part of life. I got to take a team to Disney World. I got to reward a group of athletes who had worked their butts off, had the best record that a program that I have coached has put together. and we spent the day in what I think is the happiest place on earth as a group, and it was. So you talk about getting to do things that match your personality in the way that you coach. That's what GGC I think has really allowed us all to do. We're just building on that. How can you make your own personal happy place come to work? And that's rare. I talk to too many people. It's rare to be so happy at work and go home and still be able to maintain that happiness. So
Yeah,
we went to Disney World.
that's great.
Well, Cat's Disney World. I like Mobile, Alabama. I'll be honest with you. A lot of people, when they put their list of cities they love, I doubt Mobile's at the top. But, that 1 week in Mobile, Alabama that we go the third week of May, I truly look forward to it. Everything about that event, from all the volunteers and, everyone who helps put that event. The hotel is amazing. The facility is getting better and better. 60-court facility down there in Mobile. That week is something that we really obviously check on our calendar, and we want to make that week as special as possible.
Disney World in Orlando, Florida to Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
we've
quite
set the bars.
I'm going to
Where's
go with
everybody else's?
Delray Beach, Florida. For us, it was last year, 17, when we won the opening round game and got to the final site, just to take the program from being in Building E, changing for our first game in a classroom, taking the laundry home, doing it yourself, guys carrying equipment in the back of their cars as you're waiting on the facility to get built, to in 6 years, you're one of the top 16 teams in the country. And just, you talk about reflecting, it was that bus ride back. You're disappointed because you lost. We got knocked out in the quarterfinals, but you're like, this thing's moving pretty quick, and this has been quite a ride in such a short amount of time.
So mine would be right here when you talk about the memories of that. And I remember it was 2/3 of the way through the first season when we got our first national top 20 ranking. And I came in and I said, you realize today's pretty historical day in this program. I said, and they thought I was going to say that, you finally made it.
The players in the locker room.
Right, the players in the locker room. And I said, well, actually, yesterday is, because yesterday was the last day that a women's soccer team at Georgia Gwinnett will ever know what it's like to not be ranked in the top 20. But the best part of it was, I looked at their eyes and they believed me, and I knew that we had crossed a threshold, that they believed that this is where we expect to be forever now. And before then it was, new coach speak, rah rah, isn't he so happy all the time?
PhD.
Yeah. But I could tell that day, they'd had a nice winning streak up to that point, and I could tell they believed me, and that was a good day.
Potatoes over here.
Yeah, last one.
Well, no, I mean, it's there's so many memories and events, and I think we all can. I think that probably it's more along the lines of what Steve said, from washing the uniforms in my basement with my wife, which is, bless her heart, all the way through all of the things. But I think the things I enjoy the most is stuff that's not seen on camera, stuff that doesn't happen in a game. I like the behind the scenes fun that we have, and with the players, with staff. I think that those memories throughout the course of the last 7 and 8 years are what means the most, and what, for me personally, what it's like to be here at GGC with the baseball team, and just the members of campus that know you. You have lunch with them, you run into them. They ask you why you're lost like 3 games all year. All of those things. I think that's the thing that means the most to me, is just the little quirky stuff and the interactions that you have one-on-one with so many people throughout campus each day.
Each of you had your own individual stories, and I know you don't want to single out one person, but in the umbrella of coaching, whether it be recruiting or traveling or winning ball games, ordering equipment, is the relationships that you see of young men and women from teenagers in high school to now 4 years through college, and some have been out of college for 3 or 4 years now. Describe that euphoric moment to see a teenager grow into a young adult underneath your leadership. Where does that fit in the joys of being a head coach?
Number one. That's why we do it.
Absolutely.
Trophies are nice, but when they're graduating and it's a kid that you've had in your office and you've threatened to send him home when he's a sophomore because he's an absolute knucklehead, and you just lay down the law. You're a great player, but you either buy into our culture and what we're trying to accomplish, or I'll go find somebody else. Not because I don't love you, but because I can't put up with this anymore. And then he turns the corner and is an All-American and graduates. Top right there.
Yeah, I'd say, it kind of hit me when we had two former Grizzlies get married, Jordan Cox and Valeria Pota. I was at that wedding and just going to all the weddings, being in some weddings, former players, and just really seeing them just develop into, outstanding young men and women. And for me, it's just, 5-6 years after they finish, being able to see where they are in life. And just to be able to say you played a small part in that is amazing. So I don't know if we're going to have any more weddings, but.
Can we talk about weddings, though? That was one of the best when you got married.
Yeah.
The whole department, New Year's Eve, everybody went. I mean, it was one of the greatest nights. And the funny part was we rode together. Yeah. We hung out together all night. I mean, that was a magical night.
Thanks for getting married. Thanks for asking.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
And hey, shout out to the wives and husbands.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes.
Who else? Where does the relationships fit that you've developed?
It's the top. I mean, it's when you get those phone calls or the text messages when we have, again, last year making the World Series, the amount of alumni who reached out to us and to former players, it said that they still are connected, they still care, and they understood everything that they had done, laid the foundation for this. So, again, wedding invitations have come, baby announcements have come, graduate school, we have postgraduate degrees in the program now. So to see successful young women and continuing their lives, it's really neat. It's neat when you really run into them and they reflect on what you thought the story was that they lived as a player, but they tell you their memories. And it's like, how you do look at it different. And it has helped me coach the current team I have different because of their perception of what happened. I want the team that is living it to have the same experience, if not better.
Having a front row seat to all your programs, I'm going to take your answer for you, kind of guide you a little bit.
Absolutely.
The three happiest I've ever seen you was the twice we went to the World Series and this past year for Alumni Day.
Yeah.
Seeing all those guys walk through the door, you were glowing and grinning from ear to ear, and it's one of the happiest I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I actually told my wife, she's like, "Man, you were really happy." I was like, "It's what this means." I mean, it's we had about 40 guys back for the event, and it just keeps growing. And we consider an alumni, because we're so new, anybody that's ever stepped foot. And whether I cut you, or whether you didn't make it at school, or whether you graduated, we kind of encompass everybody. And so it's just been great to be able to see those guys, like everybody says, come through. But they keep coming back, and they keep supporting us, whether it's watching on TV or whether it's coming back and just sitting in the dugout. And they all sit up there and they say, "Man, I miss this. I got my kids," and like they're wonderful, and I love that. But I love these 3 hours during the day that are just so special. And so it's definitely the people and the camaraderie within changing their lives to hopefully become better members of society. Most of them.
So Matt, for a long time I was a college teacher and a coach, and the thing that a college teacher always wants is two things: tenure at schools that have tenure and full professor. And the month that I became a tenured full professor at the college, I love to take a full-time teaching job. And the president said, "What are you doing? Nobody gets full professor and leaves." And I said, if I'm in this profession to change lives, I love the classroom, but there's no comparison in the amount of life change from coach to player versus teacher to student. And this is the best environment because we deal with them in such emotionally vulnerable and intense times, and that's when most life change happens. So that's what it's about.
Well, we're going to wrap things up here today. Again, thank you so much for your guys' time. You all know I'm your biggest fans. I've got a front row seat to every single one of your programs, and the fact that we get to drag along a couple cameras in the process, it's just absolutely phenomenal. It's a pure joy for me. And so not here to raise expectations, but what I want to know is individually, as we move forward here, we're in year 7 of the athletic department. We now have 1,000 wins over that 7-year period. I want a 10-year goal. So in 3 years from now, when we get together and do a 10-year anniversary of GGC Athletics, what does your program look like?
Can we talk for Chase?
Sure.
Okay, I don't think he should lose again.
Counting. I've got 9.
I don't think that he should lose.
11.
We should be
12.
Chase should have
right?
42. See?
Right. So let's just talk about Chase. Yeah.
No, God.
You're going to lead us off. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, so we're saying 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to, be in double digits, national championships. I think be done.
Obtainable goal.
Yeah, but with that being said, obviously we just want to continue on what we started. I tell people, and it's the truth, is it's a lot harder to stay at the top than it is to get to the top, and that's a fact because we've been playing since 2014 with a target on our back. Everybody can make their season if they beat us. So my biggest job is how do I maintain the men and women's teams? How do we maintain that edge? How do we keep them just as hungry as the competition? And hopefully by year 10, I've been able to do that.
What's an internal expectation, a goal that you want to achieve individually in your program by year 10?
I think for me, it's to keep developing myself as a coach and growing. And I think that as I continue to grow and reflect on the things that we've done in the past and our coaches have done in the past, it will continue to grow the product on the field and the people within the organization. I think that's, whether you win or lose, I think that facilities wise, school, all of the things line up. And if we stay stagnant as our own selves, we're not going to continue to move the program forward in the right direction. And so to me, it's always challenge myself and challenge our staff and then challenge our players and continue to put the kids on the field that are great baseball players, but ultimately, how do we continue to develop them as lifelong leaders of character and all of the principles that we have here internally, so that when they do leave here, they do come back and they also are just great people out there in the world.
I think it kind of what Mike mentioned earlier. It's the recruiting piece. We get the right people in here. To go along with Brad said, if I'm developing as a person and I'm developing my staff and my players and I've got the right guys, then the goal is to win championships, to put national championship banner up on the wall in the athletic department. But it's to see guys graduate. It's that we're making a difference, that they come to us as 18-year-old boys and they leave as 22, 30-year-old men that are making a difference in society today. So it's winning on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. But Dr. Wilson has given us the best platform to go ahead and do this. And so, I don't think we can't thank him enough for what he's done for us. But that's the goal, is to just continue to win, but to help. We need something other than tennis up on the championship
I
board,
agree.
folks.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's good.
Who wants to take us home? The PhD? You want to go last? Or you
Dr.
want to go next?
Coach.
Dr. Coach,
So-
let's
Dr.
go.
We still got Kat to go. You want to go last? Or
Well, let's look.
Oh,
Cash
yeah.
should take us home. So
Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go quick.
Really better think
So
about
when we talk about influencing or affecting the lives of students and winning being separate things, they are, but there's also a connection to them. I had a reunion with the 4 teams that won back at the other school, that won the championship, and every one of those young ladies talked about how that shaped who they thought they could become and what they thought they could do. And I want a generation of GGC women's soccer players to know that. Besides, as Chase knows, it's a great lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And so I want all of us to be able to have a generation of students who say, hey, I've been at the top of the mountain, and if I can do that in my sporting life, I can do that in regular life.
Before Kat closes, I think you should give where you think, because you got a front row seat to all of us.
Ooh.
All the way
we
through and
go.
through. So I think that you have
Give him a
also a
question.
3-year
Yeah, what's the
plan.
question?
Well, just answer your own question for all of us in the programs, in the
I-
department.
I think my daily task, every time the cameras are on and there's a microphone in front of my face, to put things in perspective, right? So how do we put being in the top 25 for the first time, for the last time, being the first time in perspective? How do I put a trip to Delray in perspective? How do I put 9 national championships in perspective? A first trip to the World Series, for 2 trips to the World Series. How do I put that perspective in the moment? And I think the only way I am able to do that is by looking back and, like Steve said, comparing it to what we know. We have never seen 100 matches in a row. We're trying to achieve that. We've never seen things like back-to-back-to-back World Series appearances. So how do you put that in perspective if that ever happens? How do you put 4 teams in spring sports all in the top 5? And so that's my challenge that I enjoy, because I get to tell the stories of our student athletes and our coaches in the moment. And so I like taking things like winning 1,000 games in 7 years and reflecting back. So to answer your question, when we get to 10, that's going to be my job. Put it in perspective to what that means for other departments and other coaches and other programs.
I want to see these faces here in 3 more years.
I couldn't agree
And
more.
it's not because we're not going somewhere big, we are what is going to be big. So if we can commit ourselves to 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 5 years worth of consistency, his goal of great men, his goal of 200 matches, his goal of the big ring, his goal of the big ring, my goal of the big ring, consistency breeds that, and so I think in our department, it's a goal because life happens. Life is hard. Life is challenging. Our athletes absolutely provoke tough moments out of us. But I want to see that consistency stay here. So to be able to do it with the 6 of us again, it would be pretty special in 3 years. So that's definitely my goal.
I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.